Hey everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Recording this after another 12-hour stream day. Man, I've been doing this to myself on weekends, one way or the other, whether I'm raiding or I have Wolves League or whatever. I just find myself doing 12-hour streams on the weekends. That's why there's like no Sunday video most of the time, because I was like, by the time I'm done on Saturday, I'm like, no, I'm good. But I'm otherwise feeling okay, other than just the exhaustion of talking for 12 hours. I've eaten. I'm well rested over the weekend itself, so I'm doing generally all right. Better than I normally am, it seems, half the time I come into the Q&As. Oh, I'm tired. I don't want to be here. No, I'm doing all right. On the VOD channel, we're going to be seeing the rest of Final Fantasy 3 3D this week. We're going to be seeing the start of Final Fantasy 4 Pixel Remaster, which I'm about 45-50% through already. I got through most of that today. And that'll probably finish around patch week. It'll be uploading during the week that patch actually drops. So, and then we have Final Fantasy 4 3D after that, After Years, Free Enterprise Randomizer. So, a lot of Final Fantasy 4 on the VOD channel in the coming weeks. Xenoblade 3 getting uploaded. I also feel like I need to rush through the rest of that game, because if I don't finish getting through it this week, I don't know when I will. Because once patch week drops, I mean, when am I going to get back to it, you know? And also, Diofield Chronicle demo. I want to upload that full playthrough over to the VOD channel. And I also want to do a quick review video here for YouTube, because I was massively impressed with the Diofield Chronicle demo, much more than I was expecting. So I definitely want to share some thoughts on that as well. Anyway, it's already like 8:37 p.m. right now. I'm going to do a normal edited video just because I don't know, just might as well. I'm feeling good. You know, I might as well do it. So let's get started, because I'm sure there are a decent number of questions. Anyway, thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon for supporting. They don't have to. They choose to. All my content is available for free here on YouTube, or, of course, my VODs over on the VOD channel as well. So be sure to check those out, or check my videos out here. And also, shout out to Steel Series for sponsoring. And shout out to Advanced GG. Again, we got a new partnership with them. They do hydration formulas, which are the big ones that I do, basically adding electrolytes and flavor to some water. But they also do like energy and focus. I do have those occasionally. I actually had one today after like 9 hours of streaming, and they come in handy. It's like a cup of coffee per serving of that, plus all the B vitamins and other minerals and nutrients in there that help out. So they've been really good to me so far. Been working with them for just a couple of weeks now, but we have a 30% discount code on that. So if you're someone who's interested in those kind of things, be sure to do your research, see if it's something that's good for you, and then, you can always buy that to support the channel. Anyway, with that, let's get to the questions. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Heya, hi, hope you're doing great. I'm doing okay, thanks. This might have been asked already, but what do you think will happen to the Gold Saucer update that they heavily hinted at before the release of the expansion? I think they're still working on it. I just think they've realized there's not as much excitement for it. So when it's ready, they'll do it. And before then, it's just not something that they're super prioritizing. Not too surprised with, the 7.0 graphical update, the data center travel. Not to say that those are the same people working on those things, but I'm willing to bet there's just more attention being paid to them and to the timely completion of things like that are more for the long-term support of the game. So I don't know, but I don't think they deem it important enough, and that might be due somewhat to player response to them even saying they're doing something, just being kind of milk toast or lukewarm. But we don't know. We'll know the next time they bring it up, and who knows when that'll be. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Hi, Mrhappy. Hi, hope you're vibing. I'm doing something. I don't know what it is. Thriving and surviving. Surviving, I'm totally doing, but just barely. A couple questions for you this fine Monday. One, I know you've answered similar questions, but I love some specifics if you can think of them. What dialogue shows in-game time has only been a year? Man, we actually talked about this on a State of the Realm, but I don't remember which one. We actually listed the exact NPC and line that it came from. But there's an NPC in Endwalker specifically that refers to what the current year is. I'm fairly certain it's a throwaway line from like a random NPC to boot. They just say the number of the year, which is the same year that it has been. I'd have to look into it. Somebody might have some insight going into this comment section below the video. But unfortunately, it's hard for me to tell. And no, I wasn't referring to the Hildebrand one, but I know that you're talking about like that. But yeah, we know the year has not changed since the start of the game. And then two, on State of the Realm, both you and Sly talked about wanting to visit Meracidia and the New World. What sorts of things draw you to those locations in particular, as opposed to seeing more of Ilsabard or Author? I mean, Author, we kind of have seen the majority of authored. Like Yanjia takes up a huge portion of it. We've been to the burn, and then that just leaves the mountain range to the north, really. It does, of course, also leave the evolution areas, you know, around Dalmasca and Rabanastre and that area. But we've, again, seen a lot of those just in the form of raids. That happens a lot in Final Fantasy XIV, where there are giant sections of the map that get reduced to, not even reduced, but their assets are used to explain stories and things like 24 Mans. The Shadow of Mach storyline, for example, with the Weeping City, that's a giant section of our map, and we just kind of go through it in that manner. And you know, there's not really, I guess, much else to say about it, you know, I suppose. But for those locations, Mara City has been talked about and teased for a very long time, and we're very unfamiliar with the actual workings of it. We've had no communication with them, so we've only been able to read stories from scholars. And the big thing is, you know, we know that that is kind of where some of the biggest events of the Allagan Wars took place. You know, Sephiroth, Sophia, Zervin, some of the dragons, you know, Bahamut, Tiamat. So much happened down there. Vritra and you know, Azdaia. So many things that happen. So going there and being a part of it and learning more of that place that we've only heard about so much is big. And then the New World, we've only seen bits and pieces. We know it's a lot more like a Native American kind of culture, but we know it also has like golden cities. So we can see some of the different forms of the Americas, you know, from where we know the United States was colonized down through Mexico and the Aztec civilization. There's so many things that are probably on that side of the world. Not to mention Sly wants to see barbecue. We know that they have some killer barbecue in the New World. So that's what he's looking forward to. But it's been teased. We don't know a lot about it. And it's been talked about for a very long time, which is what kind of led to Ishgard being in 3.0 after years of us listening to stories about it in 1.0. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hope you're enjoying this latest news cycle, as always. Commenting after the latest live letter. If you haven't already talked about in a separate video, I'd like to ask about the crit direct hit changes. Seems like for jobs with no auto crit features, our crit enhancing abilities are just a 10% increase, while for our friends with auto crit, it's guaranteed bonus to their damage. So there's, depending on how they do this, it could be very bad, or it could be not that big of a difference. Those jobs already had auto crits, and they're going to be getting buffs to those auto crits. But we know that they're also taking a potency hit, as was mentioned in the unofficial translations, not from the Reddit Discord, but from several other sources. I've seen unofficially it was stated that some job balance changes to the jobs that have abilities that guarantee crits and direct hits will be made to compensate for the fact that they may or may not have these buffs available on the team. So what is most likely to be the case is these jobs will definitely prefer to have those other jobs on the team, but only really, really hardcore people are going to try to match that up and really make it work, because that means you'd pretty much have to have Dancer, Samurai, Warrior, and a couple of others in there. I mean, Machinist also could be a potential because of Reassemble. But I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, but that's only if they don't screw it up. They could very easily botch the numbers and make it more of a crit meta than it already is. And it's already been a crit meta. Everyone already stacks crit, so it's just a matter of differentiating between the jobs that, will benefit the most from this buff and how much they'll benefit based on what the number adjustments actually look like. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Mr. Happy. Hope you're well. Really like your trailer breakdown. Have a bit of a spoilery question. If you're referring to that, I'm going to hope some people have at least seen my 6.2 coverage up to this point. In regards to the possibility that Xenos Reaper Avatar and the Reaper Lady being the same person, do you think Xenos having artificial echo and technically being the first Reaper? It's one of those questions I can't really answer because there's nothing to like really indicate this. It's like one of those things that's just like a thought that goes through your head, and it's like, yeah, maybe. That's it. That's all I can ever say about these kind of things. It's like, I mean, yeah, maybe. We don't know. We don't know how the artificial echo interacts with that. So I can't say that I think this or that I don't think this because there's not enough information on either side for me to provide meaningful input. The hashtag was down a little bit, so I almost missed this one. Advice for starting content creators. Make the content you want to make, especially if it's a hobby. The especially if it's a hobby thing is big, because people start thinking about making content as if they're going to start making big bucks as soon as they start producing YouTube videos. Like, no, stuff's supposed to start as a hobby. And all of us who do this didn't go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to make a career out of this. It just kind of worked out that way for those of us it worked out for. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Mr. Happy. Hi. Do you believe the next expansion will come out in 2023? No. There's a 0% chance of that. It's not even like it's highly unlikely. There's a 0% chance. The math just doesn't work out. End of December was already Endwalker. Normally, under normal circumstances with the old schedule, you'd probably add a week, maybe 2 weeks onto that, and that would be the release of the next game. That's the holiday season. We also know they're getting an extra week off in the holiday season, so no chance they do that. Plus, we know there were 2 weeks added to every patch cycle, and that's going to be true going into 6.2, 3, 4, 5, and that adds a couple of months on as well. You're looking at the earliest March of 2024. I mean, they could squeeze February, but I'm going to say earliest March 2024. Maybe after the fiscal year in April. Either are a possibility, but that's the minimum. It's going to be probably pretty close to when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth actually comes out. You know, within a few months of that. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Hello, Happy. Been a bit. Hi. Recently, I had an incredibly stupid idea that wouldn't leave my brain. Oh boy. Specifically, I complete the entire crafting lock. I mean, that's not that stupid. There's a genuine reason to do that. Pursuing this incredibly bad idea of running into this weird and rare crafting mats from an early game, specifically Mariner Cloth only available from Boreskin treasure maps and descending Moonfire gear. Because of that, I found myself running Palace of the Dead for bronze coffers to get Moonfire stuff to descend them and craft the same item. The long story got me thinking, what is the most convoluted thing you've ever done to work around to complete something game? Nothing. If I have to do something like that, I just don't do it. I just opt out. It's not worth it for me. I've done dumb things like, you know, I had the 3 million point ocean fishing challenge, but there was no workaround for that. I just tackle my problems head on. So, nothing. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Hello. Hi. Hope you're having a good day. You too. I hope my audio, by the way, is okay. I've been super, just a tangent from this real quick. I've been super nervous about my audio because ever since like maybe an update or two ago, in Windows, my audio levels just randomly get changed, and I don't know what program is doing it because I have the setting that doesn't let programs take exclusive control, and that's how you get adjusted audio randomly on Windows most of the time. But that's why my audio levels have just occasionally been really bad in videos because Windows is just messing with my audio settings. It turns out that when it came to my my test that I did for the Josh Strife Hayes reaction video, apparently between my test video and my recording, which was like a minute or two later, Windows auto adjusted a bunch of audio and it totally screwed me over. I'm glad I finally figured that out because I listened back to the other video and I was like, yeah, it could be a little better, but it's not nearly as bad as it is in the finished video. It was just blowing my mind how bad it actually was. Sorry, I had to go on that tangent because I'm not really looking at the microphone. I'm looking at the screen over here and I'm trying to lean into the microphone because I'm kind of kicking back after a long day. So sorry for the tangent. Anyway, Shadowbringer spoiler. That's old enough. I don't care. Was it not common knowledge that the Sin Eaters and Yulmore worked hand in hand? The characters talk about Valthr's attack on the Lakeland and are shocked to learn that it was coordinated. Well, it's the first time. So them working with the Sin Eaters is one thing. Them being part of their military might is another. Because nobody has witnessed a nation or a person controlling the Sin Eaters for like a military excursion. So that's the first time that the Crystal Tower, that what's it called? Dude, my brain is completely broken. The Crystarium. There you go. They've probably had to actually deal with a full-on offensive from Sin Eaters in a coordinated fashion. So again, it's just a matter of military versus lifestyle. And in this case, it was in the military that caught them off guard. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Hi, Mr. Happy. Hi. Hope you're doing great. Thanks, you too. 2 unrelated questions. Okay, guess they're cousins. I'm looking for small challenges to do in 14, so your solo runs of the Stormblood Extreme Trials and Raids. Using your comments in the beginning to try them out, but is there a possibility you could do a video compiling the solo run? That's a lot. Every fight's different. It doesn't really make sense to make a video that compiles a bunch of information that is specific to those individual encounters when every single one of those individual encounters has the information pertinent to that encounter in it. So I'm going to say no, just because it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense for me to make this particular video. And 2, just saw your Octopath mobile game and sounds awesome. Yeah, the Octopath mobile game has been great. I have it over here. I had to put it down to make sure I could actually get this done. I haven't played the original. Will I be lost? You'll miss a lot of the references. From what I understand, when we get into the second story arc, the game right now is mostly focused on the first story arc and kind of starts setting up the second one. That's where knowledge of the first game really comes in handy. But for right now, it's going to be there's going to be characters that show up that are new to you that you don't recognize because you didn't play the original, but that's really about it. It's kind of like playing Final Fantasy 14 as your first Final Fantasy and not getting all the references, but knowing that they're there. It's kind of similar in that regard, but on a much more focused scale since it's all in one game and one world. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi. I don't know why I almost said Mr. Happy. You didn't say Mr. I said Mr. Hi, Happy. Mundane question. Maybe it's because I saw the M and it confused me. Has Yoshi P ever mentioned why we can't have more than 5 quests on the screen? It's from what I understand, it's a data issue. It doesn't. It's cluttered, so by default, having more than that is just excessive. So there's no reason to allow it because it just looks hideous. And 2, there's probably a display data limit that they don't want to go over because it probably overloads your UI with more data than they want displayed. I don't think they've explicitly stated that, but the first one is just kind of a basic UI thing that you just don't want to do. So that's probably why. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps, hope you're well. Same to you. Got a question about shields and mitigation. I'm a DPS main, so let's see if my dumb brain can figure this out. I know you're not a healer main, but I was wondering if you knew. Let's say I put a Eurasian Diagnosis Shield and a Toracole 10% damage. Do you know how they work together, if they work together at all? Well, they don't directly interact with each other, but they both provide individual effects that interact kind of as a result, I suppose. I mean, if you're reducing the damage somebody takes, and then they have a shield, then it's going to reduce the damage they take, and then that damage will be taken out of the shield. Damage doesn't... There is no damage mint and shield. Does the damage mint add on to the shield? There's damage mitigation has nothing to do with shielding. They don't interact with each other on that level. All that's happening is a player, let's say a player takes 100,000 damage and they have a 10,000 point shield. Okay, so that means the 10,000 point shield will reduce the damage to 90,000. If they have 10% damage mitt, then they'll take 90,000 damage because they had the 100,000 reduced by 10%, and then they have a 10,000 point shield on top of that, so now they'd only take 80,000 damage. You know, but nothing about mitt makes shielding stronger. Nothing about a shield makes mitt stronger. They both have completely independent roles. Just they may be beneficial to both have on at a given time. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Mr. Happy. I'm wondering when the devs will go full revamp and revamp all the jobs of the current game to give you the majority of your kit by level 50. That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen unless they squish the levels and make level 50 the new level 80. Like World of Warcraft level squishing, if you've seen that, that's the only way it's ever going to happen. They do not want you to have a giant level range of getting absolutely nothing new, which is, if I'm reading what you're saying correctly, exactly what you want. And visual upgrades, potency, secondary effects to the later levels. I mean, they kind of do that with Monk. Monk gets mostly visual upgrades or the few functional ones, but they're never going to just completely fill your job out at 50 and give you nothing but visual upgrades for the rest of the levels. Because in terms of adding excitement to a player when they are leveling a job, when they're upgrading a job, that is not satisfactory enough for a lot of new players to make it feel like they're actually making progress and getting new skills and learning new things. Players really want that. It's a big selling point. So you don't want to hamper that by that much. I think they could do a better job of introducing core game mechanics at lower levels and then still adding new things later. But this level of extreme, I don't think they'll do. Again, unless they squish the levels, in which case you might see it by 50, but only because the new level cap would be something like, 60, because they shrunk it. That's the only way I would see that happening. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Sir Happy. Hello. I hear of people leaving engagements, like critical engagements, because someone doesn't have the right gear less often. Is that a result of min item level gear requirements, or because more people like myself are in the I don't care what you have on, let's just have fun with it mode? I mean, other than somebody trying to sneak in with less gear than they're supposed to have, I don't see this. Most people just set item level to a minimum, and as long as you're over that, you're good. I don't see what you're saying. I don't see almost ever, so I'm not 100% sure how to comment on it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, hi, hello, good day, hi, hey, what's up? Got some short Ultimate related questions. Nothing about Ultimate is short. For you this week, and I've been saving to let DSR cool off from being the new thing on the block. Thank God for that. How would you rank Ultimate fights based on your enjoyment of doing them? DSR, UCOB, T, Uwu from best to worst. I don't like going back into DSR right now. The experience is still fresh on my mind and rather scarring practically. So there is that. But I mean, yeah, there is that, I suppose. 2, what is the hardest mechanic you had to figure out in an ultimate encounter? You know, that's kind of tough because a lot of the times I want to figure out a mechanic fresh. But other people I raid with, if there's information out there for them to figure it out ahead of time, they'll look for that resource. They'll share it. They'll dissect it. And, you know, it kind of kills the prog experience for me, but I understand that everyone wants to get it done faster, you know, myself included in all honesty, but it does kind of mix the question up a bit, just because most mechanics I don't have a difficult time learning. It's figuring them out from absolutely nothing. And with that, I mean, with DSR, Sanctity of the Ward is pretty up there, trying to dissect all the different possible meteor patterns and lay out all the possibilities and try to come up with a system that's more consistent to make sure we understand exactly how to adjust around the other players, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, no, that's probably it. I mean, T had a bunch of stuff too, but I really don't remember my experience all too greatly with that, so I'll have to defer. What's your biggest aha, I knew it moment? Oh, that's easy. The cat in T. I told my raid group that almost certainly there's some sort of secret mechanic and Shinoa is going to be a part of it. I said it before the tier even came out. I was saying it during the tier when we found Shinoa in the encounter, and they started noticing that there was like a difference in Shinoa's speech occasionally, depending on whether or not we did certain things right or wrong in the mechanic. And I was like, I'm telling you, Shinoa was like literally the key. Alexander put Shinoa through to ensure he could defeat himself. I'm telling you, it's going to be the same thing. When we found out that was how you got the codex, I was like, fucking knew it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, howdy. Hey, hi, Mr. Happy. Hey, what's up? Hope your day is going well. It's going all right. I have an interesting question about the story. Well, I'll be the judge of that. Yoshipi said the story would change in a drastic way for 7.0. Do you think that Yoshipi would ever do something like a Realm Reborn where the world comes to an end and the servers go down? No. They'll never do that because that's going to cost them subs. They'll never do that again. They did that before because the game was a disaster and nobody cared if it went down. They're never going to do that again unless it was for like a regularly scheduled, you know, maximum 24-hour maintenance. But that's about it. I mean, there's a chance that for things like the graphic updates, maybe they need more than a 24-hour maintenance, but it's not going to be anything a Realm Reborn style. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, yo, Haps. Hi. Hope you had a wonderful week. Solid week. Thanks. Some time ago, Yoshi P said that in the future, there'll be huge changes to the game, assuming it's not a graphical update. What would you think would, or at least hoping for these changes? I want to merge of old cities. No, he's talking about the graphical updates, the story. He's talking about things like that. It's not going to be any sort of massive fundamental change. It doesn't really make sense to merge the city-states together. There's actually, in some cases, not actual asset to tie them together. And it's a lot of server-related work for what is basically no gain. There's no actual benefit to doing that other than the fact that they can, it's something that you could do and be possible to do. It doesn't enhance the experience much, especially with the amount of time you don't spend in those city-states. Yeah, it just doesn't, it doesn't add up. No, but it's like things like the graphical update and the story and where it's going and stuff like that. It's not any more complicated than that. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Mr. Happy. Hi. My question is regarding a new VOD channel. Was wondering if there might be a chance you ever upload your Endwalker MSQ playthrough. You're not the only one to ask for that. I do have the whole thing completely intact. There's a question in me of quality in terms of uploading it. I'm so tired across that like 50-ish hours that I have on stream of that I kind of just sit there and don't really react that much, or I use sort of like comedic gestures to break up the tension of moments. And there's also some frustrations. I had internet issues around that time, very, very massive internet issues, like for the months before that, for months after that. And it definitely interferes with one moment in particular towards the end of, I think, the second part when I'm around Elpis. So, yeah, the idea is there. You're not the first person to ask, and I can do it. I question the quality of that VOD. I don't think it's going to be that interesting, but I guess, you know, most of the time, I guess if anyone's watching a VOD, that doesn't matter. So that's, maybe I just need to not give a shit. Who knows? Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. First time asker, long time watcher. Welcome. Light Endwalker spoilers. Okay. Well, you know, at this point, it's been a few months, so. I've been wondering about the pace of Endwalker since I saw a few people discussing it. Did you feel the story went too fast? Hell no. Hell no. I was so glad they actually got as much done in that as they did. And some parts I felt could have even gone a little bit faster. There are some parts that drag out, kind of in a traditional new expansion for 14 way, where there's just a few too many tasks around that don't need to be there. But no, I thought it was great. They didn't waste time. When they didn't have anything more to do or say, they moved to the next point. Garlemald went at, I felt, a nice crisp pace. They managed to tie it back to later events and make sure that the culture and the kind of the lack of trust and the state of the world, they all melded together so well that I wouldn't have asked for more time there. I wouldn't have asked for less time there. Just a few individual quests that probably could have been tuned up to just be made a little bit better. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Meowdy Haps. Hi. Hope you're doing well. Same to you. With the live letter that just happened today, I'm interested in doing the Savage tier due to how cool the armor looks. Keep in mind the armor you can get from normal mode, although Savage gear you can dye. It's probably not going to affect the glow at all, but bear that in mind. You can get the gear, just not the weapons from normal mode. Didn't participate last year because I wasn't in a mindset to wade through PF. Don't blame me there. I have some experience with Savage during the end of Shadowbringers, but would you recommend I attempt to clear the first tier before attempting Abyssos? I mean, you have like a week. I wouldn't recommend doing it after Abyssos is out. If you have time in the next couple of weeks to jump into Party Finder, I would do it then. If not, just wait for Abyssos. It's not worth the effort of putting off the second tier for the first tier when everyone's doing the second tier and you can just get right on it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Greetings, Mr. Happy. Hello. Preparing to play a melee DPS in the next tier, but I'm not as experienced in Savage as player, and I'm divided between Monk and Samurai and Ninja. In your opinion, who from those three is the most approachable? Also, considering I play from South America, my ping is not great. Oh man, the ping on all of those is not great. Monk has a super fast GCD, so you will not be able to double weave. You can single weave pretty comfortably, but with those forbidden chakras, you're going to feel kind of bad leaving those when you're trying to stick to your rotation. Samurai might be the best in terms of ping friendliness, especially with Kaiten being gone. There's probably a few spots where it's a little less comfortable. And Ninja, I'm hard-pressed. Ninja is really, really rough if you do not have good ping. There's just a lot of double weaving in their openers. And while it's better than it used to be, I don't think it's better than Samurai. I think Samurai is probably the best bet on the ping issue alone. All right, I'm not going to lie. Now that it's like past 9 p.m. and I've been doing so much today, I am actually running out of steam. I'm going to lightning around the rest just for my own sake, but listen, I tried to make it through the early section, but it's finally catching up to me. So I had another question here, and for these I take it off the screen just so I don't have to worry about scrolling through things and missing certain things. Let's see. My question is about trying the new role for specifically progging high-end content. How well would you think that a consistent week 1-2 Savage clear rater can comfortably fit into a different role on a fresh tier? Without any practice at all prior to doing it, that's going to depend on the player. I would not recommend doing that in a prog setting as opposed to just doing it in a Party Finder setting. But if you're somebody who's done it once before, or you're somebody who takes a couple of weeks to kind of roll into it, then I think most high-end raiders won't have an issue. At least hopping from one DPS to a different DPS, a little bit more practice to hop into the tank or the healer role. But even then, you could probably squeak by, just not playing at as efficient of a level as I think you'd want to out of yourself. However, a player who has much less experience, who has lower skill, I really wouldn't recommend that unless they feel like they haven't found the job that's right for them and they're searching for that job. Then they should probably hop around a little bit more. We had someone first time asking a question. Sorry I got thrown into the lightning round here. Anyway, let's see. I would love for my Nin to get a way to interrupt things. Okay, anyway, it's just one example, but the fact these role actions now stop at 50 would be nice if they could add 1 or 2 at the higher levels, especially now that we have role quests instead of job quests. No, they're probably never going to do that. Role quests might get revisited at some point in the future. We don't know. They might decide that a certain role needs something that they didn't have before, or role doesn't need something anymore that it's had. But other than that, I wouldn't hold that expectation, especially because of the role quests. I know that you have to do them anyway, but they're not trying to tie abilities to those because some people wait to do them all the way till the end. And even then, it has to be something that's consistent across all of them, but isn't massively impactful. So it wouldn't even feel that good to unlock most likely anyway. Somebody asking, is there a team or duo queue in Crystalline Conflict? No, there's only solo queue. First time doing week 1 prog, I know it's optimal to give loot to the highest damaging DPS. So there is a caveat to that. If there's a piece that you can give a healer that has a lot of piety, or even just for some extra vitality to make them a bit more survivable, giving a piece or two to a healer or a caster can go a long way in helping with just those really, really tight heal or mitigation checks. So that is another possibility. But what if that piece is not BIS for him and BIS for, let's say, a ranged physical? BIS doesn't matter in your week 1 clear. I'll be honest with you. You really don't care if a piece is BIS or not for somebody. You try to consider it, but it's very much not a factor if you are getting the week 1 clear. If you're not and you're just casually rating, then I would care less. Then you can try to funnel specific pieces into BIS. But if you're going for that day 1, day 2, day 3 clear, no, you don't care about BIS at that point. You're just trying to get stats onto people as quickly as possible. Can you go into detail what hardcore rating is like? It's sitting at your computer and being able to dissect brand new mechanics and figure them out and execute them consistently for several days. That's it. I highly recommend not cramming energy drinks. You know, Advanced GG, it's great. They got all the ingredients listed and everything. But even stuff like this, I wouldn't recommend. Make sure you focus on things like water and limited caffeine. Make sure you're if you are someone like me who's a caffeine freak, that you monitor your caffeine intake. Focus on getting much more water than caffeine, because the hydration will keep you going in a more healthy state. Prepare food in advance and make sure that it's balanced meals, not heavy meals. Don't do any sort of heavy starches like potatoes or just tons of noodle dishes or sandwiches, unless they're really tiny sandwiches. Look for things that are not heavy, that don't make you sleepy, and that are instead energizing. Those are definitely the big things that I would recommend. But it is really just a mindset thing. And you also have to make sure you're rating with the right people. If you're not, hardcore rating's miserable. That's just the bottom line. We have a mild spoiler in regards to a character we haven't seen since some A Realm Reborn. Royale, Raubon's right hand. Well, you know that he needs that one because he doesn't have the other. We arrested her for selling intel in the patches, but goes MIA for the rest of the game. Oh, she was imprisoned. And they asked what we should do with her at some point, if I recall. No, they asked what we should do with the Crystal Braves that we captured, not her. Yeah, no, she was arrested and she's in jail as far as we know. That's it. She just doesn't serve any more of a purpose, so there's no point in diving into her story any further. They can make a reason later, but right now there's just no reason. Then we have another one, second time doing this question. Hope I did it right. You did. Unfortunately, it landed in the lightning round. Do you have a specific source for that? It's only been a year. Yeah, somebody else asked for that. We literally say exactly the NPC in one of my State of the Realms. I just don't remember which one. So maybe somebody can remember, but I don't off the top of my head. But I know that we have an NPC in Endwalker that tells us what the current year is, and it's the same year that is mentioned in dialogue in A Realm Reborn. I just can't remember exactly who. But I have mentioned them by name on a State of the Realm. That's all I remember. Hope you're doing well. Been enjoying the VOD channel. It's hard for me to get in the streams. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I also have a question. The Reaper Res question from this week made me want to pick your brain. What do you think about the availability of Resurrection? Too plentiful. I like when they make encounters that it's not make or break, whether or not you have an extra resurrection. And I think it's okay for some of the easier fights in a raid tier, like the first fight or the second fight. But there are some times where it just goes... It's too much. It's just too much, in my opinion. So I think there's far too many of them, and I wish they would limit them more as opposed to provide more of them, which is why I answered that question last week the way that I did. I just want to ask something a bit unrelated. Do you think would you be familiar on how Ultima and Bahamut ended up in the deep sea research hidden island? What, in Final Fantasy VIII? Wait, I hope you just want to ask. Well, yeah, you didn't even mention Final Fantasy VIII anywhere in this question, so I was super confused. They explain it actually somewhere in that. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but they do actually mention they find Ultima, if I'm not mistaken. But Bahamut, they deliberately lock away there for research. It is explained in the deep sea research facility. There's lore down there, but I have to Google it. It's not fresh in my mind. It's not in front of me right now. A couple of questions stuck on P3S and the PF. Man, that's a life. You think it's better for me to sit down and clear it or skip it? Whatever, either or. I don't think P3S is a specific indication of whether or not you should or shouldn't do P4S. It's just kind of the logical stepping stone. So I think you could go either way with it. You could skip it if you want, or go through it. I don't personally think it matters all that much. Second, I've been playing Crystalline Conflict on Red Mage. While I have some wins, I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. Is there a particular way I should play Red Mage? Yeah, you dive into people, you hit them with the melee combo, you jump out, and then you wait for your melee combo again. You want to be looking for resolutions, or I think it's called something else in PvP, but you want to be looking to do the line silence or the line binds in situations where it looks like you can clinch a kill. If you see 4 or 5 people grouped up and you can hit them all with a silence, go for it. If you're chasing somebody, swap to your black mana mode and bind them so you can chase them more easily. You know, look for opportunities like that. But you are essentially looking to hit them with the healing reduction debuff and then unleash a melee combo on them and then get out. And then just do that over and over again to poke people through their resources, take them out of fights, or just kill them outright. If they are out of resources and you see that on the party list, you know, keep chasing them, keep the pressure on, cast a few spells on them, don't let up. But the big thing is the silence or the bind. And the silence generally has more impact, but the bind can be really good for chasing a team if they're trying to run away. Or even just an individual member. Where'd you get that cat house tree? Chewy. I don't remember what it's called, but it's definitely from Chewy. For the comments, oh yeah, there's just a comment about Warrior. Do you think they'll ever improve the mentor system? No, I don't. I feel like if they were going to, they would have already. It doesn't matter how you ask me whether or not I think they'll do it. I just don't think they'll do it. It's bottom line. Let's see. Then we have Recall. He said you'd either do New Game Plus or a new character for count up. Wondering if you play a new character, what it might take to get you to play something besides Lala. I don't care what race I play. That's irrelevant to me. I mean, I have other characters that aren't Lalas, so wouldn't take anything. It just might end up that way. I might like let people vote. I don't know. Ever asked Square why you can't send tells to people that are in duties? Their original reason was they didn't want people harassing people while they're in duties. I don't know how much that reasoning holds up nowadays. There might be some sort of technical issue with sending a tell between the two very disconnected servers, because the duty servers and the game servers have to go through a tunnel in order to connect to each other, to communicate with each other. So that might be the reason. But don't quote me on that, because I just remember them talking about how they didn't want people harassing people in duties. So I just don't know if that holds up still. Let's see. Let's see. Is there any more questions? Oh yeah. So a bunch of people last week, I guess, were making a joke about the fact that it was episode 404, and there was a joke about people saying it didn't work. You know what really confused me, though? Somebody came into my stream and didn't explain the joke. It just said that the video wasn't loading for them. And they never corrected me. So they probably felt real proud about themselves afterwards, because my brain doesn't think like that unless you explain it outright. I don't see the number 404 and just think of an error unless I'm already playing something that it makes sense in. Because I've done that joke before, but even still. 2 weeks of playtime, just started Stormblood. My question is a dark main, I sometimes find boss fights not engaging. Yeah, dungeon boss fights and like normal mode trials are not super engaging. Until you get to extremes and savage, they aren't going to feel super engaging. It could also just be that Dark Knight you don't find super engaging, because you can make fights engaging even if they're not super exciting, if the job you're playing on can engage with them more directly. But that's it. I mean, yeah, maybe you should try Gunbreaker. It is a lot more involved, so that might do the trick. But Dark Knight is insanely involved when you're playing at optimal, so I don't know if that's going to really do you any favors at the end of the day. Can I add you on Steam? No. I don't bother, because I'm never going to talk to you on Steam. And it's not anything personal. I just don't talk to people on Steam. I have so many people who have added me over the years. I have never once spoken to a single one of them, because I just don't communicate to people on Steam. So, no. I wish Crystalline Conflict gave a bit of gil per match. Gotta say no to that. That doesn't need to happen. There's already so much gil in Final Fantasy XIV. And then, yeah, I think that's it. I think I got all the questions, unless I missed one that didn't have a hashtag, which is always the possibility. Don't forget, it's always easier for me to find if you put the hashtag MHM or Mondays. It's just a hashtag that gets my attention, essentially, because it like glows a completely different color on the screen, so it makes it much easier to single out. Anyway, with that, though, thank you for watching this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. Be sure to ask your questions for next week's episode in the comment section of the video below. And please be on the lookout for some stuff and some videos this week. Dealfield Chronicle, this video. I might watch the starter guide. The only bit of the starter guide I've actually watched is the ones they showed during the live letter. So I haven't actually seen most of it, so maybe I'll do like a little react. I really got to do more react content. It just feels lazy. Like, I'm not saying that like people shouldn't do it or they're like not creative, but I don't hate the idea of lazy content. I hate the idea of doing content that's on other people's content that doesn't feel engaging. you know? Like sometimes like when there's an interview or when there's like a new trailer for something, I want to watch it and I want to provide insight and whatnot. And I guess I can do that, but something just feels wrong about reacting to other people's content and making it my content. You know, and it shouldn't, because I do that so much. I mean, I take lodestone posts and trailers and live letters. That's essentially, it's the same thing. But there's just something different about taking somebody else's like homemade prime content and I don't know. It's just a mental block I have to get over. But it just feels dirty, almost, if that makes sense. But people like it, and I don't mind doing it. It's like I definitely have things to say about things like that. It's just, I don't know. I've done so much like hard edited content and like content I've actually put work into that doing something so simple just feels like a shortcut. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm dumb and I'm in my own head. So let me wrap up this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next week's episode. And until then, take care.